Welcome to The Drive with your automotive experts and hosts, Lauren Fix and Karl Brauer. Each week we dive into breaking car news, share our latest vehicle reviews, and bring you up to speed on what's happening in the automotive world. Buckle up and hit the road with us. This is The Drive.
Welcome to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. I'm Karl Brauer, and I'm joined by my lovely host, Lauren Fix. Lauren, how are you doing today?
I am great. Just got back from the Indy 500 and ran into our very good friend, Henry Payne. And so we brought Henry on to talk about this very famous race and all the good things that Indy is doing. The Indy Racing Series is super impressive. Henry, welcome to the show. Tell us about the Indy 500 this year.
Yeah, great to be with you guys, Lauren and Karl. The 500 was arguably the most exciting ever this year. They had the closest finish between first and second at 2/100ths of a second. And then the difference between 3, 4, and 5 was less than that, was 1/100th of a second.
Wow.
So, yeah, extraordinary race, won by Felix Rosenqvist, who is a Scandinavian transplant, lives here in the United States. It means the world to him. To win this race. It truly is the greatest spectacle in racing. And Lauren, you and I were on the grandstand for this race, and it is truly astonishing to watch these cars go down the front straight at 230 miles an hour, lift, and go into turn one at 210 miles an hour.
It's crazy.
It is the fastest race on earth.
It's crazy. And then we got a chance to talk to some people from Honda who hosted us, and you asked them some very interesting questions about what Honda's doing, but also the success of the Indy 500 and the series compared to some of the other series that are out there.
Well, there was another race going on Sunday at the same time as the Indy 500. That was the Formula One Montreal Grand Prix, and not nearly as interesting. Mercedes dominated the race. Antonelli, the winner, won by 10 seconds. And the difference really is knowing your brand. IndyCar knows its brand. It knows that spec racing keeps things close. It's exciting for the fans, and all of these series are under enormous political pressure from their manufacturers to bring in hybridization. IndyCar is doing a 90-10 hybrid formula, 90% V6, 10% regen. So it's essentially like a turbocharger. It's an assist. Formula One has gone 50-50, and it is causing enormous problems for the sport. And at a time when F1 is at its height internationally, it presents real brand problems for the sport.
No, it does. And I think this is going to be an interesting thing. We see this playing out not just in racing. We've seen it in some recent production cars. We're going to talk about that later in the show. But we're going to have to figure out this electrification thing and how it does or does not work in any given situation. All right, we're going to be right back with more on The Drive with Lauren and Karl.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. This segment brought to you by Classic Tube. If you're restoring a car, maybe you've got a car you'd like to keep, and you need new brake and fuel or transmission lines, check out Classic Tube. They're bent on perfection, and all the tubes are made here in the USA. I had a chance to speak with Keith Krach, who is in charge of the Freedom 250 race, and we will be attending that in Washington, D.C. in August. Let's hear what he has to say. Joining us today is Keith Krach. He's one of the key people behind the America's 250 celebration, an upcoming race that's going to happen in Washington, D.C., and we're lucky to have this conversation with you. Now, this is happening in August. It is IndyCar based, which is fantastic. So you're going to see open wheel cars on the streets. And this is the very first time bringing together both speed, innovation, celebration of freedom, and that is what the 250 is all about. And so I wanted to start off with a couple questions.
Sure.
So Washington, D.C. has hosted a lot of celebrations, a lot of parades, and a lot of politics, but never has it ever been a race in an IndyCar race specifically, but never has there been a race in the city.
That's exactly right. Yeah. A motor race.
A motor race.
The only other time there's been a race around Washington, around the National Mall, was Thomas Jefferson had a horse race. So now, instead of we're going to bring in a lot of horsepower and have these very Indy cars that are right here at the Indianapolis 500 race around the mall. It'll be spectacular. You know, you'll see the Capitol, Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the White House,
Amazing.
going 180, 200 miles an hour.
On those streets. I hope
On
you're
those
repaving them.
streets. Yeah, they will be paid very well. And admissions for free, too, so we open it up to the public. Yeah, and I think, if you look at racing, it symbolizes what Freedom 250 is all about. You think about the innovation, the technology, the courage, the competition, and even what freedom means itself. Well, that's racing, car racing.
That is. That's really what America's about. We were always about competition.
It is.
And about winning, and and we've been doing that. And not just the year 250 years of the United States, but just like everything that's been going on, all the changes, the positive changes.
Yes.
And if you don't see it, you need to look a little deeper because there's a lot of good things. Now, this is being promoted more than just a weekend of racing, more than just a free weekend for people to come out, and I'm sure it's going to be packed.
It'll be packed. It'll be fantastic. And so if you look at what Freedom 250's mission is in terms of leading the nation's 250th anniversary. It's a year-long endeavor. We have thousands upon thousands of events, hundreds of initiatives, and it's all about bringing Americans together, and not only across sporting events, but also in the schools, the universities, faith-based organizations, companies, institutions, you name it. And it's spectacular. And for us, it's really about participation. And it's about renewing our American values and freedom, and really kicking off the next 250 years, because we're very fortunate we have freedom.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm with you. Or we wouldn't be racing, it wouldn't be enjoying everything that we do. So IndyCar represents engineering, manufacturing, speed, and risk-taking, which we've had a lot of risk-taking over the last 250 years.
Amen.
But America is dominated globally in so many different areas. Do you see this event as part of reconnecting people with American innovation and industry?
Absolutely, because if you think of motorsports, I look at it as racing accelerates innovation, right?
Right.
And the automotive industry has really been enabled by freedom. And if you look at that automotive industry, it has defined our economy, it has defined our culture, it has defined our mobility. It's even defined what freedom means.
That's true. I've always been big about the freedom of mobility.
Yes.
And so nobody wants to be limited by how far they can go, where they can go, when they can go, which is all about the roadways. That's what Sean Duffy's been working on.
Absolutely.
Just totally changing everything. He's behind the automotive portion of this.
Yeah, and God bless Secretary Duffy. One of our initiatives we worked with him on is the American Road Trip.
Right.
And General Motors did the app for that. It's great. We want people to get out and see, the United States, and that's part of freedom.
So much to see.
There's so much to see.
I think you don't realize it until you start driving. I've driven across country a few times on the upper half and the lower half of the country. The people are fantastic. The destinations are amazing.
Yes.
And if you don't get out and drive instead of flying, which is fine, another option, you really don't get to the full flavor of the United States and how diverse it is.
Absolutely, because you got to meet the people.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. And that's also what Freedom 250 is all about. We want to include every single American in all 50 states. And that's a great way to see the country.
So this is one race, one time. So this is big. This is going to be like, people are going to want more.
Oh, by the way, what we're hoping with the Freedom 250 Grand Prix is it becomes an annual event. And I think that will be yet to be seen. But
the next Monaco?
Well, why not? Why not? Because it's just going to be an amazing experience, a beautiful backdrop. To bring together, the National Mall is such a special place in terms of history. So to bring together IndyCar racing at the capital of the United States, I just think it's just a killer idea.
And I'm excited to see how you're going to handle all these people coming from all around the world.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got IndyCar teams.
Right.
And as someone who's raced cars most of my life, you don't realize the crew that you have to bring and the cars you have to bring and all the logistics.
Yes, yeah.
So you guys are prepared for all this. It's going to be huge.
By the way, Penske is, and I think this wouldn't happen without them. So I think it's going to be really well organized.
So how are you bringing in younger Americans, because they've rediscovered motorsports? From television, from streaming and all the different media. They're all about social media. So I assume you have a component for all of that. to show younger Americans that this is what America's about.
Absolutely, and I think if you think about what we're doing with Freedom 250, the number one target audience is the youth, right?
Right.
You're too young to remember this, but I remember in 1976, and I was right here. I was in Detroit, and the feeling I get, and what I saw, it stuck with me. So, we want the young people to, have pride in America and confidence in America and understand our history. And the automotive part is such a key part of it. And it's a great lever because it's exciting.
Yes.
And it's
very
fun.
Exciting, yeah.
And, hey, I want to be a race car driver someday. I had a great conversation yesterday or Friday in the pits with David Malukas, and he told his story about how his family came from Lithuania and they started a trucking business, and now he's an IndyCar race driver. He said,
wow.
Yeah, my parents lived their lives vicariously through me. I mean, it's an amazing thing. And that's the American dream.
I'm the same way. I'm first generation. My father's from Vienna, Austria. My mother's 100% Russian, and they came when they were chased out. And I'm first generation. So for me, I lived in Detroit. Cars are my thing.
Yep.
And it's always been that way. And our whole family lives by the auto industry. And you don't realize the freedom that you have and the opportunities that you have.
Yes.
Being here in America, I think that's just amazing. And once you experience that and you see what we have to offer, I understand why people want to be here.
By the way, for sure. And my family came over from Germany. I was welding at age 12 in my dad's 5-person machine shop at the good times. It was just me and him in the tough times.
You learn a lot.
And he taught me, work hard, be honest, and you can do anything.
Yep. So when fans leave Washington, D.C. after the Freedom 250, what do you hope they're going to be saying to other people about their experience and about America? What's the big message?
Well, I think what we want people to walk away with, it's not going to be the press releases or the speeches. It's going to be the feeling. And the feeling of confidence in the country, confidence in themselves, optimism about the future. And that's really what it's all about.
It's certainly looking brighter. There's not a question.
That's right.
Well, I'm excited. Hopefully I'll have an opportunity to be there. It's going to be very busy. Hard to get hotels, I'm sure. But we'll make sure to...
We'll fix something up.
Okay, that would be great. But we're excited and looking forward to the America 250. Thank you so much for your opportunity.
Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you. I'm excited. Make sure to check it out. Freedom 250. It's going to be in August at Washington, D.C., around the mall.
Right. And you can check out all the times, everything, freedom250.org.
Freedom250.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. And that was a great interview, Lauren, with Mr. Krach about the upcoming race in Washington, D.C. First time they've done that in that city. And hopefully, maybe it'll become recurring, as he said, as an annual thing. It could be quite fun.
Yeah.
I like the idea that we're kind of shaking the tombs of all the founders of the country, but shaking it in a way that I bet they'd all approve of. High performance cars, racing, competition. I bet they'd love it. So,
now this segment is brought to you by IC Cars. Karl, tell us about IC Cars.
Yeah, and let's talk real quick about IC Cars, the company that I'm the executive analyst at, and that has an incredibly effective website for not just finding all the car listings across the country, new and used, but also a lot of great data that we're constantly analyzing about the market, trying to understand what's happening, and then letting you have our insights as to what cars are holding their best value, what color helps you hold the best value, how long will these cars last. All the listings have predicted lifespan, which no other website has when you look at used vehicles on our website. So pretty cool stuff at iccars.com.
Do they have anything on the Ferrari Luce?
I would find it very interesting to plug our data team into the depreciation potential on the Ferrari Luce from $640,000 where it starts. But
an electric 5-seater SUV from Ferrari that looks like a Nissan Leaf with a Ferrari logo. I don't know, Henry. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, hugely controversial, and you wonder if the customers are aware of why this is happening. I mean, you're seeing this across brand, right? Even though the market has decided that EVs are about 5 to 8% of the market, even though brands like Cadillac have reversed course and are starting to make are keeping their internal combustion engines. it must be confusing to loyalists of brands like Jaguar and Ferrari as to why these brands are rolling out these vehicles that are so contrary to their brand. And I got to tell you, I think it's more than just complying with governments. I mean, these are European companies, so they have to comply with EV mandates in Europe coming by 2035. But I wonder too if this is just a corporate a government thing that believes this is what is good for you. These are brands that have very deep sustainability goals. You talk to executives with these companies, and they believe that Armageddon is upon us, and that they need to contribute in order to save the world. I find this a very puzzling time in the industry.
It's a good way to put your company out of business. I mean, the horrible, even my comment, which I've have all over national news, was that it was an embarrassment. It was insulting to Ferrari owners. If you own a Ferrari, a collectible Ferrari, or even a current Ferrari, it's insulting to make the vehicle look like a jelly bean. Now, I know the designer was from Apple, and if it was an Apple car, it would win all day long, but it's not. And I can't believe they fell for this. I mean, the result made their stock prices tank.
Well, I feel like it's a reflection of what happens a lot at these upper levels of business leadership. And you guys know this, right? There comes a point where individuals decide that they've figured it all out, and they're too brilliant for the rest of us, and they can do no wrong. And I mean, you combine a bunch of people who've been at upper levels of automotive with people like Johnny Ive, who admittedly was super successful and helpful at Apple, and now it's like anything we touch is gold. And it's like, no, you have touched things in the past that have been gold. You are still another human being walking the planet, as capable of screwing up royally as any of us. And the way that you increase the chances you're going to screw up royally, let me say it again, because I don't think people know about this Ferrari. It's a royal screw up, okay? And the way you screw up royally, I know, and the way you screw up royally is thinking, I've got this figured out. Look at my record. I mean, I know plenty of entrepreneurs in this industry who that's their biggest enemy. The biggest enemy of a successful entrepreneur is grounded reality and controlling your ego. And, I always like to joke. It's like, people need to get better at controlling their ego. I'm pretty happy about how well I control my ego. In fact, I'd say I'm probably one of the best people of controlling my ego on the planet. But anyways, but
that's very egotistical of you.
Seriously, that's how these guys think. They're like, I've got this figured out. I've got this figured out. And they sit around and they tell themselves, looking at this development process and looking at this car, thinking, this is going to be the next great Ferrari. We're going to really Jaguar represent the future of Ferrari. And Jaguar fell into it too. And honestly, as you noted, Henry, a lot of other companies were certainly heading that way. But thankfully, reality is, I always like to say, you can love reality and you can hate reality. You know what you can't do? Ignore reality. Yeah. Or you can ignore reality and it's going to bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what happened to Ferrari.
And there is an interesting piece to this, I think, Karl, which you mentioned, which was this Ferrari Luce is designed by an Apple designer. And the center of the world is Silicon Valley these days. And there is a belief in Silicon Valley, not unjustified, that they are changing the world. And that comes to AI, that comes to computers, and there is also an element there with automobiles, that the automobiles this is a new generation of automobile. Silicon Valley knows the future. That's where the wealth is, and brands like Ferrari, Cadillac, and others need to genuflect to Silicon Valley because they are the ones setting the trends. We're driving computers on wheels now, and that's what the Ferrari Luce looks like. It looks like a mouse. It looks like a computer mouse on wheels.
It does. Yeah. That's perfect a description. And if you want to see what it looks like, you can check it out on the Drive Car Show on YouTube. We have everything on video format. Of course, you can download it on a podcast platform. We're on all of them. But I agree with you. And I'm trying to decide which is worse. Is it the Jaguar, which was a total embarrassment on how they launched it. And it is gigantic and weird. And they're calling it the 00. Or is it the Ferrari Luce? They're fighting to see which one is worse. Karl, you got any feedback on that?
It's a race. I hope it's a race that nobody should ever want to win, unfortunately. All right, this has been a lot of good talk on very honest, candid talk about a very important topic. We are going to be right back after a quick break with more on The Drive with Lauren and Karl.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. We've been talking with Henry Payne, who is a racing expert, a car expert, and works with the Detroit News. You can follow him online at Henry Payne. He's also a wonderful cartoonist. So thank you for joining us, Henry. And Karl, we've been talking about all these cars and all these autonomous driving, and you live in the LA area. I'm sure you see this all the time. Where I live, there's no autonomous cars. Nobody wants to ride in them. And then all these news stories. Henry and Karl, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I was a little freaked out when I heard testimony from someone who it sounded like they were in a Waymo that went into Bluesmobile mode and was trying to outrun the cops or something. They were on the highway and then people were having to merge because of construction. And then all of a sudden, apparently this Waymo decided it didn't like that situation and it sped up instead of slowing down and went racing down some kind of unauthorized lane that you weren't supposed to be on in the construction and racing past the cops and all this kind of stuff.
I heard the police were chasing them and they're like, we can't stop the car. No one's driving it.
Yeah. Can you imagine you're in the car? There's no human to yell at even, let alone, control the car and stuff. And finally the police got it pulled over. And then apparently like the Waymo person, at least there was some kind of alert that went off. Apparently the Waymo person was on like the speaker pretty quickly going, so we have got the car shut down. And, and then I guess they were saying like, we can get you another one. And all they were like, no, we're good. We're going to
say like 50 minutes they had to wait for road service. They had to sit in the car for 50 minutes until a manned driver would come.
Yeah. And don't forget, this follows within like a week or two of down in, I think, Atlanta and San Antonio or something, Waymo's driving into deep water and getting stuck and having to be towed out. So, and then there was a Tesla that apparently drove into a pond. And there was an elderly couple, and the 87-year-old driver didn't make it. The other passenger gets out and not life-threatening injuries, but one of the two died because their Tesla went into a pond. Now, all this comes in the face of you and I, Lauren, talking to Roman Micah recently about how his recent Tesla drove its first 2,000 miles uninterrupted human touch, just did it on its own. And Henry, you've got a real recent Tesla, and you just told us that it drove like a 100-mile trip without you touching it at all. Is this true?
Yeah, and this is the retail version. Full self-driving is in 14.3.2, I think, is the current version. It gets better all the time. The car is constantly updating and getting better. I've done 2 recent 100-mile round trips and didn't have to touch anything. But this is the challenge, and this is where the market cap is. I mean, people ask, why is Tesla a $1 trillion company? Why is Google a $1 trillion company? This is it. This is the holy grail. These two companies have the capital to burn to try to get there with their robo-taxi fleets, but it is very complicated, and it is especially complicated in an environment in which they have to share the road with human beings. And so it's fascinating to watch this on a retail level. The car I drive, I'm very much a guinea pig. When I drive around in my Tesla, it's really fascinating to watch. But you can see where this takes us, Karl and Lauren, because I increasingly get inquiries from older friends of mine, 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds. They really value their independence, that the automobile gives them. Yeah. And they like the idea that there is a Tesla and a Waymo out there, particularly the Teslas, that they can get into on their own terms and that will drive better than them. And so there is real potential in the retail market and obviously in the robo-taxi market. If you can come in with robot cars that take weird Uber drivers out of the equation, you just get into them with a subscription and go where you want to go.
So how does that work in the winter? You live in Detroit. I mean, and I'm in Buffalo. Karl's in LA, so he doesn't really deal with snow, but we do. How do these autonomous vehicles handle in the snow? I mean, have you tried that?
That's a great question, and goes to the anecdote that Karl pointed out about the about the Waymo going into flooded water. The Waymo, which has far more cars on the road currently than Tesla does. Tesla is largely limited to Texas. Waymo is in multiple states, and they are coming to Detroit. They are testing here.
Wow.
And they promise that the service will start this fall because they want to be in a multi-season environment. They want to take on snow. They want to take on heavy rain because they need to prove these systems out in all conditions. I mean, you can only make money in the ride share with volume, millions and millions of rides. So they have to get to volume. You have to come into markets like Detroit. Toronto is also a test market for Waymos. So
Toronto's like New York City.
It gets cold up there.
Well, not just the cold, there's a lot of traffic, and you have people from a lot of different countries. New York City is very similar to Toronto. It's and the trains, because their trains are they have those electric trains also in the middle. That could be very dangerous.
And here's the race. I mean, these two are by far and away the leaders, Tesla and Google. But within that race, Google is doing this with LiDAR, with radar, which is very expensive. Tesla is doing it entirely with cameras. If Tesla can prove out this model with Teslas, it's a far cheaper model and much easier for rideshare services like Uber and Lyft to adopt. So,
but snow is a problem. I mean, those of us that live on the upper half, if snow covers your cameras, I drive my daily driver. I'll say, forward collision warning doesn't work. You can't use cruise control. You can't use all these things. It won't even let my park assist work in my garage because everything's covered with snow and yuck. You're not going to get out every 2 minutes and wipe it off. There's no way to clean all the cameras and sensors. I'm just your everyday daily driver.
That's right. At which point the car needs to be self-aware like we are, right? I mean, that's ultimately it's AI. You need to make the car self-aware like a human would be encountering that same situation because we're all visual. We all use our eyes to get around.
And that's often the trickiest thing with That's often the trickiest thing with AI, as we know, because it always wants to give you an answer. Even when it's wrong, it just feels like it has to say something. It's like, well, I have to keep driving. I can't not let the person drive. No. Not driving and crashing is better than driving and crashing AI. So we talked about ego already. Some AI ego control might be needed. All right. Well, this has been a great segment. Thank you so much for joining us today, Henry, on this episode of The Drive with Lauren and Karl. It's been great talking to you. And we will be back after this short break. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl, and I'm fortunate enough to be talking to Graham Lambert, the head of Global Product Communications for Polestar. And this has been an incredible journey this week for me, driving between Malaga and Gibraltar. And if you're wondering, that's Africa back there. If you're seeing a mountain between us here, that mountain is in Africa. We're still in Spain, actually technically Great Britain right now. But talk a little bit about the Grand Tour and what went into the thinking behind why you wanted to do that.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think first of all, it's great to hear you've had a great time already, right? That's a good start for us. But in terms of the Grand Tour, Polestar 5 is designed as a Grand Tour. And what does a Grand Tour mean? It's about a car that can basically travel, long distances, potentially at speed, with ease, and really be fun doing it, right? It's a fun car to drive. So that was the sort of concept. So in terms of the press drive, we wanted to do something that wasn't a traditional kind of hub launch. It had to be a sort of epic kind of adventure or expedition type drive, which is why we don't move in circles. We move from basically point A to B to C down to Z, and A being Gothenburg, which is where our HQ is in Sweden, and we will finish in Ouarzazate in Morocco, just into the Sahara, basically. Hence, the title of the drive is Sweden to the Sahara.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And so it's been fun for me for just a couple of days here, but you're on this entire journey. So tell me what you consider to be the highlights thus far. You're still not into Africa yet, but through Europe.
No, and indeed. I mean, I think you're right. I started on the 26th of April, and I will finish 31st of May. So it's a long trip for me. I think there's been so many highlights. It's people often say, what was your favorite hotel? What was your favorite city? And actually, that's that's very difficult to answer. I think actually what has been one of my most favorite things is because of the concept we have in terms of the way we invited the media. So it's not a traditional rotation of, you know, US media come for one wave and UK media come for another. We mix the media up. So of the 12 media places, they are mostly made up of 12 different nations. So we're throwing these people together that maybe don't spend time together normally. It's
yes.
like a melting pot, and seeing the interactions between the different media and frankly some friendships being struck up
yes.
on this event. That for me has probably been actually the highlight.
Well, and I can confirm that because I've been fortunate enough to drive with a talented German automotive journalist, and it's been very interesting and fun to meet her and experience kind of her perspective on the brand and on the drive and on the automotive industry in general. So what you just described, I've experienced, and I appreciate that element as well as the car. You're going to end up at the Sahara, or in the Sahara on this drive, and you're about to take the cars across on a ferry across this stretch between Europe and Africa. I want to know, like, what are you going to do after something like this? Like, how do you top a grand tour for that kind of a distance on a brand promotion and all? I mean, that was a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of how we top it, I probably need some time to think on what the answer would be for that one, Karl. But I think, you know, what has become clear for me is that I talked about the format in terms of the media invite, but also this expedition style format. The media really appreciate the fact that you're driving different roads and you're not just doing a circle, you're driving from A to B.
Yes.
And also because having started in Sweden, which in April could still potentially have been quite cold and maybe wet, and then ending essentially in the dry desert, we have a sort of rich variety of assets all the way through, both for our internal use but also for the media, meaning that, you know, when the media are presenting their content back in their market, because they're split across the rotations, every story is unique, both in terms of the visuals, but also what they experience, the roads they drive, with just the one red thread that is the Polestar 5. So, and
I've always loved the concept of the road trip. And years ago, Chevrolet did a thing called Exploring New Roads for the redesigned Camaro at the time. It was about 10 years ago in 2015. And I always felt like that was one of the most enjoyable press trips I went on, because they literally gave you the keys and said, this is the next leg that you have to be at. Here's the keys to the car. Here's a couple credit cards for fuel. See you when you get there. And that kind of roaming versus circling, as you say, where most of these you're just on a loop and you come back. It's a very different environment.
You know, fundamentally, I'm a car guy at heart, right? Like, so I also enjoy a road trip with friends. You know, driving. You know, so for me, this was just something I wanted to do. I thought it was a cool experience. You know, both for media but also for us. And you know, I also think there's sometimes a bit of a myth that electric vehicles are a barrier to kind of having fun and driving long distances, and that really was the purpose of this, that we can prove that this Grand Tour is fun to drive, thanks to a lot of its specialist engineering that sits below it, but also that it is easy. The charging infrastructure here in Europe is pretty strong, and so it was, you know, perfectly achievable. So hopefully for some people it might, you know, bust some of those myths.
Yeah, there's a little bit of illumination going on as far as this is an electric car that you can travel across continents in. Yeah. Just real quick before we go, give some background on Graham Lambert. I mean, what has led you to your current role in Polestar?
I mean, I guess if I go right back to the start, I studied to be a car designer. I wanted to be a car designer.
Okay.
And I think therefore there's a clear link there with Polestar being such a design-oriented brand. But studied to be a car designer, then ended up pivoting and doing a master's in specialist journalism into automotive journalism. So I spent 10 years as an automotive journalist. So I hope that some of the things you've experienced from this press trip and some of the wider stuff we do at Polestar, through myself in particular, has shades of that journalism sort of
awareness, perspective,
that it works for you as media.
Yes.
And so that essentially long path led me to Polestar in 2019, and I started as head of PR for the UK when we launched in the UK, and since then had a number of roles, including launching the brand in new markets in 2022. So did 8 markets to the media in 2022, and then back to my design roots, became responsible for design PR for Polestar from a global perspective, then added it was either called technology or innovation, depending who you spoke to, but it was essentially the R&D, the engineering team. So
you were promoting that component.
Yeah, so I, at the same time as design, so I used to say I worked for the sort of two coolest groups of people in the business, the people that made the cars look the way they do, and the people that made the cars drive the way they do, which again, if you're a car guy or a car person, is important. And then I've been looking after product communications for approximately 2 years since we launched Polestar 3 and 4 in Madrid.
Congratulations on your success. It sounds like a fun journey, not just this week, but your career journey. And thank you for including me and the rest of us journalists who got the fortune and the good time that we've been able to experience on this trip. Thank you for including us.
Thank you, Carl. I'm just looking forward to seeing what you think when the embargo lifts.
It'll be fun story to put together. It's going to be a lot of things to review, and it'll bring back a lot of fun memories.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Grant.
Thanks, Carl.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Carl. This segment's brought to you by Car Coach Reports. It's my news channel. We cut through the noise. We give you real information about what's going on in the auto industry and how it impacts you. All my car reviews are on Car Smarts, and I post those twice a week. Now, Carl, you just had a very exciting trip. I was at the Indy 500, and at the same time, you were enjoying yourself in Spain. I am so jealous because I love it there.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. Polestar took me to southern Spain. We started in Malaga and made our way to first Marbella and then down to Gibraltar in the new Polestar 5. Yeah, it's part of what they're calling the Polestar 5 Grand Tour. And we just did the interview with Graham Lambert, who is one of the head guys there. He's one of their chief communications officers, and this was his brainchild. He wanted to prove that these electric cars, in this case, this kind of super luxurious Polestar 5 sedan, it's got a very swoopy exterior. Think what they said I thought was very interesting. They said functionality-wise and practicality-wise, it's a Panamera. Dynamically, it's a Taycan. I thought, wow, okay, that's an interesting and fairly effective way to paint the picture of what this vehicle is. And certainly it's got great exterior styling, and it's got that great kind of straightforward Swedish design inside, where it's not overly complex. It's very, very straightforward, and there's nothing excessive going on. And really an impressive driver, Lauren. And there's two versions of it. There's the dual motor, which is like the quote unquote base
all-wheel
version.
drive, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it still has, I'm just going to check my notes, make sure. It's got 748 horsepower, 599 pound-feet. It's funny, all the American PR were frustrated because, they look for the round numbers in the European specs because it's a Swedish-based car company. And so then when you convert them to US, you get 599 pound-feet of torque instead of 600 on the base model, 748 horsepower. And then on the performance version, it's still plenty. Performance version has 884 horsepower and 749 pound-feet of torque. So it's not 600.
That's like Lamborghini power. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not 600 pound-feet on the base and 750 pound-feet. It's 599 on the base and 749 on the feet. But regardless, it's fast, and the base one will get 421 miles of range, and the performance one will still get you 346. And it's got some crazy specs. 0 to 60 is 3.8 seconds in the base one, and 3.1 seconds in the performance version. So
that's fast. That's big time fast.
Powerful vehicle. So I really enjoyed driving it, but the whole concept, Lauren, you're in Spain, you're driving on these beautiful, gorgeous roads, and this was
great
just
food,
one leg.
Beautiful to see.
Oh God, the food. And again, this was called the Sweden to Sahara Grand Tour for the Polestar 5. So I was just one of like 20 or 30 different journalists who drove this vehicle, over the course of the thing. There were people who were driving it a week earlier, and it started in Gothenburg at the factory, and it's going to end in the Sahara. And
you got the best drive, I think.
I'll tell you, I was not complaining. Gibraltar is fascinating. I had never been there before, of course, and you may know this, but it's a 2 by 1 mile like plot of land that the Brits claimed, because it's fairly strategic, southernmost point of Europe and right across the canal from Africa. And so that's technically British soil. Then you look to your right, when you're there's this lighthouse that officially represents the southernmost point. You look to your right, there's the coast of Spain. And then you look across the water, and I think it's like 10 miles, and there's mountains, and those are Africa. So
I know, it's wild.
Crossroads of the world, as much or more than anywhere you could go. But the car is amazing. It's very quick. It's very luxurious. It's got different driving modes, of course. They're both dual motor, even though it says dual motor and performance. The performance is dual motor too. and really just a beautiful design. And remember, these cars have no rear window. They've done this now with the last two, the Polestar.
I'm okay with it. I mean, you got to get comfortable with it. Initially, when you see it, it's really polarizing. But I think, hey, a couple Ferraris have done that too. But, what were the roads like in Spain? I think people don't know what the roads are like in Europe because the roads are so bad here in the U.S. I mean, potholes everywhere. And they're not putting the money back into the roads and bridges in most cities. What is it like in Europe? Because I know in Germany, the roads are spectacular.
Roads in southern Spain are very good. I have no recollection of excessive bumps or broken pavement and all. And we went up into the mountains out of Marbella and had these incredible views. And then, of course, worked our way down to Gibraltar. And I had no complaints with the road. And of course, I would also add that this thing's got a pretty advanced suspension. There's a passive but very well-tuned suspension in the base, and then there's an active suspension in the performance one that really keeps things smooth and keeps it flat around corners.
And
really
a full review is going to be on your website, right? Karl Brauer Cars.
Full review will be on Karl Brauer Cars. There'll be a Forbes story. It'll all be up there. So please check it out. Fantastic. And, I think we've had a really fun episode today here on The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Lauren, thanks for joining me.
More excitement next week. We'll talk to you next Saturday. Don't forget to check us out on The Drive Car Show on YouTube.
You've been listening to The Drive, your trusted source for the latest car news, expert reviews, and real insights into the automotive world. Thanks for riding along with us today. You can check out the entire archive of every episode on our YouTube channel, The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join the conversation by leaving your comments. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay safe, enjoy the ride, and we'll see you right back here on The Drive.